As long as the basement rich...
Yes!
Pretty culty. But, like... I would totally be down. I would totally be down to make a gong.
Action? Wait,
Alright.
I can't see myself. It's so weird.
Yeah. Hi, I'm brought my camera because I'm filming this for the Seattle Makers Instagram.
Oh, nice. You gonna link over to the show?
Yes, it's in the description. This feels really forced already. Welcome to the Seattle Makers Podcast, episode something. We're glad you're here. We're very, very tired, but we're going to have a good show anyway.
We've been setting up for a good 2 hours. So
Yes.
we're ready to rock.
Hopefully we've got the audio solved this time. And the video solved this time. Anyway,
We do.
we should start out with projects because that's the part that everyone's actually interested in.
Yes, I did my first resin project over at Creative Hands Studio. I had a card here somewhere. They're over in Bothell. They're awesome, and they do these resin art workshops where you can make canvas like this. And I have a time-lapse video of one of the things I love about resin art is you have absolutely no control of what it looks like. So this was going to be a galaxy with like one little stripe and a few little subtle stars, and kind of just goes where it goes, and once it's done you can't really do anything about it. So it's an exercise in just letting go and then seeing what happens. And even when you get done with it, it's like it continues to move. It takes 24 hours to cure, but like after the 2-hour workshop, it will still keep moving overnight, just kind of settling with gravity and mixing and moving.
So what's like the process to this? Is like you start out with a canvas and like put dyed resins on it, or
Yeah, let's go to the video. There's a video of this.
I'm really curious because that looks extremely professional and it makes me want to do it for a number of my projects. Video time. Insert clever transition.
And oh, there we go. Cool. So here is the video. You pick out 5 different colors, 5 to 7. You don't want to go too many. And Wrinkle helped. She leads the class. She taught us or showed us which colors would go together, so you didn't end up with a disaster piece. And you mix them in with the resin. It's a 2-part resin, so you put 50-50 part A and B, and then the color, and you got a couple different types of colorant. So there was a dye, pigment, and a resin, or no, dye, pigment, and a paint. I'm not sure. I'd have to double check, but there's definitely acrylic paint, and the green was the pigment, so you can see the little particles. It was actually a powder.
Oh, okay, so it's like the grain size kind of changes.
Yeah, and they interact differently. So you'll see some of them, like the green to looks like black or dark purple here is like a pretty firm border, but the yellow and white and the what used to be bright orange but turned into a barbecue sauce color.
Okay.
They kind of overlap and move over each other. So each type kind of interacts differently, and so you get a really interesting mix depending on what colors touch each other.
Like, yeah, it seems like the yellow and the white in the final product really like bled together.
Yeah. Oh, and then at the end you mix all of them together, or like 3 or 4 of the colors, and you just do one little half stir, and then pour what's called a dirty pour, and you pour that, and that ends up spreading out, and that's how all this mixed color ended up in the pour.
We'll switch back off the video at the end of this, and like you can kind of compare the one to the other. But
Yeah, we'll go a little farther in the video, and you can see this ends up moving quite a bit. Even just this is a 35 minute time or video, not a time lapse. But yeah, if we jump down a bit, you can see it's starting to move to its final form.
like it's beautiful art, but it definitely gives me the impression of like kind of like a chocolate ship drop on a hot sidewalk kind of thing.
But thank you.
Like,
Thank you.
I'm not saying that about the art thing, but like, you know, it kind of starts as a circle and then kind of blends into a more organic shape. It was not a complimentary analogy, but I was just trying to like comment on how the shapes move.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you really have no idea where it's gonna go. And then this is the flaming, I guess. You hit it with a torch and it heats it up to let all the bubbles out. And
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I overdid it on the torching because there's still some pock marks. But like the more I flamed it, the more it came out. So don't quite have that down, but
It looks like really smooth. Was the lighting in there anything special? Was it like they do for surfboards where they like light it from the sides so you can see all the bumps and stuff? Or
no, it was mostly top-down lighting, but you could see pretty well. You kind of see where the texture was. And if you get an angle on it, you can see all those little white bubbles popping out.
that's super fun.
Yeah, it's great. And we're gonna have another example of resin pouring that Trey did next week, and we're gonna be doing some more of this in our space. It's really cool. And then even after it was done, it kept spreading out and evolving over time.
It's like, others might disagree, but I find the look of it, like the kind of drip over the edge thing, like super relaxing. Like I feel like I should just like stare at this for hours and just like see the secrets of the universe.
You want to rent some time and just.
Oh hey, look, there's the
Oh,
card.
there it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
go check them out.
Well, I'll link all this in the description, so that will exist. But
Good
yeah,
call, Pass Jeremy. Nailed it.
awesome. But yeah, so get a hold of them if you want to do resin projects.
Yes.
So, and I'll like hold off on talking too much about the resin projects we've done in this space because you should come back next week and we won't dig into too much of like what it takes to do that out of here. We'll give you the ins and outs of the process that we have more like us control over.
Yes.
Probably more appropriate.
And I'd love to hear what people want to do. Some people have talked about doing resin with laser cuts, laser cut and then casting, filling in those wood cracks when you're doing like a live edge table or just a little accent piece on a cracked piece of wood. So there's a lot of different options you can do.
That could get really interesting if you could like make something and then laser cut like more precise edges out of it, and you could get like precise shapes in imprecise resins.
Ooh. Maybe we can cut the resin with the laser?
Yeah. I don't know if we
they
can
can.
cut the I mean, there's definitely some things I have to look into to make sure I don't fumigate myself.
Yeah.
But
we got a CNC, so could definitely cut.
yeah, with proper dust
If it
collection.
doesn't just shatter and splinter all over, then
I've
might
cut
be able to do that.
acrylic before with a CNC and it didn't go too terribly.
Hmm.
You're right, it's resin, right? It'll fill in the
That's the
gaps.
worst that could
What
happen.
could go wrong?
I used a Dremel on resin before.
Where did that come from?
Which voice is this? This is Trey from behind the cabinet saying Dremels on resin work. So
Oh, okay. That worked pretty well.
Yeah.
Cool.
we'll get a camera on him eventually because he's as much a part of this as either of the two of us are. Yeah. News. You want to talk about news? Because I found some crazy news.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Talk about that.
on All 3DP, there was a recent article that Israeli scientists have actually 3D printed a rabbit with DNA like inside it that contains the G code to make another rabbit.
They printed a live rabbit.
No, it's a plastic rabbit. Like,
Okay.
it's the same as like we don't have a close-up cat thing. We'll talk more about these later, but you know it's like this but in a rabbit shape. But it like holds the information for like redoing this in X and Y.
So like a bunch of little DNAs inside little capsules.
Mm-hmm.
You break them open like little cells, and you're able to like extract it and read it,
Yeah.
but it's not actual DNA. Just it has G code in it.
Exactly. That was my understanding of the article. Like, and the idea was like you could make one of these, and it's just as good as having like a serial number that goes back to a blueprint, except all the information you needed to make another one was already there. It's kind of like RFID on steroids.
This is an important advancement. When we get abducted by aliens, and they're like, "How did they make this?"
I don't know that it's that like hyper important for like a small scale maker. Obviously, you need a DNA lab to do it, but it was really interesting to me because there's been more than once when I'm like, if you could code in some way that like every time someone modified like a piece of tooling or a fixture or something like that, or like every piece of tooling that came out of the shop got its own DNA stamp in there, it would be really nice to be able to go back to a fixture, analyze all the different parts of it, and be like, oh, okay, this is the third evolution Mark II tube maker. That's why you're having a problem.
That's interesting.
Being able to put a fingerprint, in this case, could literally be a fingerprint into something 3D printed, could be really key.
Wow. Awesome.
The
What
other
else we got?
other thing, also in 3D printing, was there's been a recent unveiling of a neighborhood in Mexico. That
Oh
they,
yeah.
Yeah.
I saw this.
3D printed. I'm actually going to pull this article up because the pictures are kind of cool. We will briefly show this so we don't get copyright nuked. There we go. Yeah, so they're like full homes. I've seen similar concrete printers, but I would
very
assume
nice.
that's used like the big like scaffolding size concrete printed things, and they usually do those and they go up with the with all your plumbing inside of it, so you don't have to do like the either a drywall outside or I'm also assuming that they put plumbing in these because they're like poverty relief housing in Mexico, so it might very well just be a concrete block in an effective orientation.
So you print space for the plumbing and you put in pipes, I imagine? Or is it, I mean, they're not running water through the concrete, right?
It depends, yeah. The way that you usually, if you properly do a concrete house, what you do is you run a pipe through the plumbing and then you run your actual pipe like in that.
Inside of it, yeah.
So in theory, your casing just allows you to change out that pipe when it breaks. If you're lazy or in a hurry, you just encase your actual concrete pipe, your actual pipe in the concrete. So I don't know specifically for these, but this is the first time I've seen we can 3D print houses be like actually 3D printing usable houses and not just like, hey, we could do this.
Right.
Or like, hey, guess what we did? A 3D printed architectural structure in 40 hours and it's like 4 feet wide. And you're like, okay, guys.
Yeah.
This works for a billionaire that wants an art piece, but not for a dude that actually wants a house. But this is an actual house.
Now, how much does that cost? A house like that?
I don't know. Trey, can you do some backstage Googling? As he figures that out, we should talk about more costs and schedules.
Oh, here it is.
Oh, hey, wait, never mind. It's right here.
$20 a month. Wow.
See, that's what they receive them for, though.
Oh.
0 interest, 0 profit mortgage. $20 a month for 7 years. So assuming that they're just selling it at cost, $20 a month for 7 years is $240 a year. If it were 8 years,
It's less than $2,000.
yeah, it's less than two. I could sell my fancy hot rod and buy one of those houses in Mexico.
New Mexico.
Yeah. That'd be a commute. But
Yeah, I have thought about moving to Mexico, but like the infrastructure being worse there, definitely. I mean, obviously, we're talking about
New
poverty relief.
Mexico. Oh no, it is Mexico.
old Mexico.
It's Mexico.
It's old Mexico.
Oh boy. We're experts at making things, not experts at geography or evidently reading. upcoming classes, as always, there's a calendar at seattlemakers.org. Look at it. Find what's there. Find what's not there. There are many ways that you can get involved. We'll be happy. We should also let you know we are closed from the 22nd to... I have 22nd through the 23rd on there, but basically the week of Christmas. We're closed.
Yeah. Monday through Friday. We're going to be open the weekend before, so you can get all your gifts done, get some laser cutting. And actually this next week, we have laser cutter certifications Monday and Saturday. So if you want to get going, do some gifts for friends and family. It's a great way to get started. We have people doing some cards, like laser cut cards for friends and family, as well as portraits and phone holders, a lot of different cool projects, or giving out gift certificates. I've actually had quite a few gift certificates go out the door. Give the gift of making that keeps on giving.
Yeah, by all means.
And we are closed that week of Christmas, Monday through Friday. Back open Saturday, so you can come play with your toys and tools.
Yeah. If anyone gets cool camera gear for Christmas, bring it in and show it to me, because I love cool camera gear.
And we also have a ornament workshop.
Ornaments.
This Sunday, the 15th. If you want to come in and 3D print some ornaments. We're going to be designing them in Tinkercad and then printing them. We are going to have a number of them, so we may be mailing them to you, but you can do your design, pick out your colors, and we will ship them out just in time for Christmas.
Yeah.
So come check those out.
That's a great way to get into 3D printing with something that's immediately functional. Like one of the frustrations with 3D printing is, like, usually when you start out testing your printer, you print a benchy. If you haven't seen a benchy, it's like a tugboat, and it's great, but then it sits somewhere. And these will be things that are used, and happily so. It can be on your tree and warm your heart. Community health report?
Community health report. Yes. So
We don't have the numbers? Do we not have the numbers?
the numbers.
We're at somewhere around 75 users. We failed to find the number.
All right.
And we have been open for 832 days with a goal of forever. Thank you again for watching another rousing episode of the podcast. Both of us are going to go sleep.
Naps.
As always, if you want more Makers content, the social media links are down in the deal below. If you're watching this, please share it. Please like and sub. It helps us reach more people and show more people how to do cool things.
And you can see us on all the other platforms at Seattle Makers HQ.
Yes.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
See you next week.